Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ohio Transit Partnership Program, OTP2 webinar. My name is Paula Hyman from the Ohio LTAP Center, and I will be your technical support for today's webinar. Before we begin, just some housekeeping items. If you have questions throughout this presentation, I ask that you please put those into the questions pod. And just to make sure you know where that's located, go ahead and just type a quick hello, hi in there. That shows you the functionality. Lastly, there is a document available to download in the handout section. If for some reason you're unable to download the handout, it will be emailed after the completion of the webinar to this group. This webinar is being recorded. Providing that the recording is successful, the YouTube link is going to be emailed to all participants and uploaded to our LTAP website. I want to thank you in advance for your participation. And with that, I'll pass things off to Ms. Juana Hostin, Urban Transit Planner with ODOT. Juana?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We are going to talk about the Ohio Transit Partnership Program. I know some of you have attended webinars yesterday and have more this week. So since we weren't able to travel around the state like we did last year and come see you guys, this is our alternative way of getting information to you. But I do agree with Todd Barstow, what he said yesterday is that, you know, to me, this is harder because I'm talking to a monitor and I can't see you guys. And, you know, if I was in person, I would probably say something like, you know, isn't everyone affected by the time change and you're having a hard time, you know, going to sleep and waking up, and I'd ask you to raise your hands, and, you know, I could see people nodding and smiling and shaking their heads, but so I don't get to see your smiling faces, but this is what we'll have to do for this. Alrighty, so first off, I do want to see if there are any new applicants to the OTP2 program. Are there agencies who did not apply in the past 2 years for this? And could you put that in the chat box? Okay, I'm not seeing any right now. Okay, so then I'm going to assume that everyone is familiar with the OTP2 program. Not a lot has changed, nothing major. There are some minor adjustments we did. So this shouldn't be a long presentation, but certainly if you have questions, put that into the Q&A and we will respond to those. And if we can't respond to all of them, we'll definitely follow up, and all of these will be posted to our website, the presentation, the recording, and any questions and answers that we have. So with that, so just to give a brief history of the OTP2 program, we actually started this back in 2012 to allow transit agencies to use funds to assist in their operating and capital projects. And with the decline in the state funds, these funds in the beginning were federal funds, and we called these flex funds because we transferred funds from the highway program to transit for those purposes. And it was only open up to the urban transit agencies. And then in 2 years ago, in the last biennium, we were able to receive $70 million in state general revenue funds from the General Assembly And so we instituted the Ohio Transit Partnership Program, state funds only, to both urban and rural transit agencies to assist in their projects. Even though we took the word preservation out of the program, preservation is still a focus, with 60% of the projects being devoted to Tier 1 and 40% to Tier 2. But we will get more into that later. So we did allow the percentages to stay the same. These are eligible applicants, so everyone on this call is either a recipient of 5307 or 5311 funds. And the program goals are the same for preservation and innovation. We haven't changed any of those program goals, and those are worked into the application. These are the eligible project types for both tiers 1 and 2. Again, those are not exclusive. We can accept other projects that don't fit under this category, but give me a call or ask if you think you have an idea for a project, and we can discuss if we think it's under Tier 1 or Tier 2, and go from there. So these are the types of Tier 1 projects that are eligible: capital replacement, facility upgrades, equipment, capitalized maintenance, and operating assistance. Tier 2 is for new construction and expansion vehicles that are for revenue service. In Tier 2 projects, we're focusing on alternative fuels to provide cleaner air, whether it's CNG, battery electric, or hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. Fueling infrastructure is also still eligible for OTP2 funds. Any kind of technology that you want to do for your fleet and your agency is eligible, and also scheduling and dispatching software. Planning is also eligible for OTP2 funds. We want for big projects that you have planned in the future to do feasibility studies. If you're thinking of electrifying your fleet or switching all to hydrogen fuel cell, we would like you to do a feasibility study and see if that's right for your transit agency. If you haven't had a transit development plan to give you a short range plan for the next 5 years, or even a long range plan, planning studies are eligible for these funds. And then pilot projects, of course, if you are coordinating with agencies outside of your county or within your county, we want to see service expansion, and these would fall under Tier 2 projects. So the application will still be in FormStack, so that's a good thing with OTP2. You don't have to do Black Cat for these funds. Everything is in FormStack. We will announce the application next week, and the applications will be due Friday, April 30th. So I do want to talk about the few changes we did. We took out the application completeness in the scoring. So since these are in FormStack, there are required fields, so there shouldn't be any danger of not completing an application, because FormStack won't let you apply for or hit the submit button unless all of the required fields are entered. We also took out the question on if there is a viable project from a previous year. We want to kind of start from scratch and not look at projects that weren't funded last year, particularly since we had to cut the budget and reduce the funds that were originally allocated. We will have to not consider previous awards in the scoring. What I did add was a quarterly report submission. So I'm going to check to see if your quarterly reports were submitted in a timely fashion. And then there was some adjustment on the state of good repair points. They were increased to give more of a weight to the state of good repair. So also, we talked about combining all the applications into one application. And we weren't able to do that completely for this year, but what we did do as a compromise for that is to create a general information application certification. So it's a short form where you will have to say that you fit out this general information, but you only have to do it one time. And so then when you're applying for other programs, whether it's 5311 or 5339, you can just upload this form to show that it's filled out. And so you only have to do that one time. So I do want to show you what that looks like. And so there will be a click to this, and this will link you to a form stack that will ask you which programs you are applying for. And then this information will only need to be filled out once. So we're asking for your business name and address, and information like your employer or tax ID number, your DUNS number, and your system for award management number, and the service area, and then basic contact information. So we want to know who is the program contact person. And then if there's an administrative contact person that's different, you would fill that in here. But if it's the same, then you would check this box that it's the same, and then you don't have to fill that out. The same with the financial contact person. So if someone else is going to be submitting invoices, or if I have a question on a payment request, then I'm going to contact this financial contact person. And then the authorizing official is who is authorized to sign the contract. So this is who we're going to send the contracts to through our electronic signature format. And so this part you will only have to fill in once. We do have some attachments. The authorizing resolution to apply for these funds, certifications and assurances, and your last completed financial audit that will be uploaded here, so that you only have to do that once.
Luana?
Yes.
I just have a couple of questions. I think it's regarding the resolution. Tina Bradley asked a question, our rights to community immunity legislation will not be approved until sometime in May. It's for fiscal year 2021 and fiscal year 2022. Is this acceptable?
Yes. I understand we just added the Rights to Community Immunity Program, which will also require an authorizing resolution. So if you're not able to combine it all into one, we will accept a separate resolution for the Rights to Community Program, given the time frame. So so you'll have to do 2 authorizing resolutions if you're applying for the Rights to Community Immunity Program.
Okay, and on the same topic of resolution from Tina Burry, will we be able to put in different program names for different programs?
Program names for each. So are you talking about?
For different grants. Sorry, for different grants. I think she clarified. Will we be able to put in different program names for different grants?
I think we can assign different program names for grants. So I think if you're talking about the program project descriptions, you can reference which program that you're referring to.
Tina, are you asking about the contact names on the general applicant information form? Yeah. So she's asking within the general application form, if they're submitting it for multiple programs, if they are allowed to identify more than one program contact. And that was brought up yesterday and some of the webinars as well, excuse me. And we will be modifying the form to allow for you to identify different program contacts based on the grants you're applying for.
Yes, so we will modify this form to accommodate more than one contact. If your mobility manager contact is different than for the OTP2, then yes, we will modify that. Thank you. Any other questions?
One more, just to clarify, is the RCI authorizing resolution due with this grant application on April 30th or before? So do you just want to clarify that one more time?
It will not be due April 30th. We're going to allow flexibility on the rights to community immunity since it's such a new program. So no, we will determine a time frame for that soon.
Okay, and then the last question is asking about the SAM number from Andrea, and I would just recommend you reach out to Juana after this, and we can help you with understanding the SAM number and how to get that information. And that's it, Juana, you can keep going.
Okay. So we're going to look at the application for Tier 1 projects. Not all of these are applicable, so not everyone may have a transit asset management plan, but this is for facility and fixed skyway projects. So when you're applying for this type of project, we want to see it related to some type of plan in your agency that, you know, the project has been, you know, vetted and approved and discussed within your transit agency that shows, you know, this project is a priority related to your plan and you know, identified either in your budget or a transit asset management plan. In the fixed guideway, the same way. Show us some kind of documentation to show where this project is within the agency's planning documents or transit asset management plan. So now we're going to talk about the different scoring criteria. Again, we will separate the Tier 1 and Tier 2 projects. So we are scoring all Tier 1 projects, and then we'll score all Tier 2 projects separately. And we are still having the 20% set aside for rural transit agencies. The maximum points for each project is still a possible 100 points. And ODOT reserves the right to base the scores and consider geographical distribution. And we will also coordinate with FTA, and I will coordinate with the other program managers so that we are assured that you are managing your other federal and state grants well, and are reporting and carrying out those projects as intended. So we want to make sure that we have an overall picture of your management of your projects and other grants. So we will have those considerations when we're scoring the projects. We still will place a priority on projects that will be completed within the first state fiscal year, but we understand that some projects will definitely take longer, such as bus replacements with the vehicles being delivered, 6 months to 18 months out. We understand that can always be done. Again, these are 100% state and no local match is required. However, we award more points if you can leverage local and federal funds. So you will get more points if you provide a local share, and more points if you are matching a federal grant. So keep in mind that there's no minimum local share. We're not saying it has to be 20% or even 10%. So my recommendation is to have some local match in there, and that will get you more points. So we are still going to allocate 6% of the allocation to Tier 1 projects. And this is the basic breakdown of the scoring criteria, so that we will have quarterly reporting in there, project readiness, the state of good repair, and then local or federal match. And so this is the scoring breakdown for that, so that you can see 60% or 60 points of the scoring is coming from the need or state of good repair in Tier 1 projects. And the cost share has been increased to 20%. Again, the reporting requirements are for quarterly reporting, and that is in FormStack also. So I will send a notice, an email reminder of when those are due each quarter, so that you can be reminded that those are due. So we want to know both financial reporting and then milestone reporting on their projects quarterly. So we want to know the progress of each project, if there are any delays in the project, and then what's causing the delay, and then, when do you expect to complete the project? So I know last year, of course, the pandemic was a big delay in a lot of projects, whether it was expansion service, if you were, piloting a new project for service, delayed vehicle orders and delivery. So hopefully that won't be a big factor this year, but we understand the circumstances. So, but just let us know what's going on each quarter if there are issues. So 40% of the allocation will be devoted to Tier 2 projects. And again, the only thing that's changed on this is we took out the application completeness and a previous viable project in last year's scoring and program. So we still are looking at equity, ridership impact, and this shows the breakdown for each of the scoring. Again, the 20% or 20 points is devoted to the cost share. So again, we want to maximize federal funds, and we're looking for a local share. And of course, these will be reported on quarterly also. But we also want to hear the impacts of this project, whether there was an increase in ridership and, enhanced opportunities for coordination, and how well those partnerships are working. I think that would be good to report. And we can move forward with that. And this is not just for ODOT's purposes. Again, we want to be able to report to our senior leadership and the state legislature. So, the General Assembly is discussing the budget right now for the next biennium. So we do not know what the allocation will be for OTP2 next year and the year after until the budget is approved at the state level. So we don't expect, we expect a change, but we don't know how much of an increase or decrease we will see in the final budget. So that's why we decided not to change any major components of this program, since the money is in flux right now. I did want to talk a little bit about, well, so let me stop there. Are there any questions, Macy?
There are not that I see.
Okay. Just briefly on procurement, I know there was a question yesterday on environmental documents for state-only projects. So I've reached out to our compliance section, and they're getting information from our Office of Environmental Services on state-only projects. So there are a few requirements for projects like facility construction, bus shelters, projects that would require any type of environmental review. And so we've obtained a matrix of those projects, but we're trying to get some more guidance and clarification on the matrix they provided because there are terms and acronyms that I'm not familiar with. So I think we would need more guidance to be able to provide to you to help you in this environmental review to make sure we are complying with all of the state guidelines and regulations. So everyone on this call should be familiar with the state procurement guidelines, and that we have a checklist for micro purchases, small procurements, and large procurements. And it is available on our website and in Black Cat. That if you don't have that, you can reach out to me or any of the other program coordinators for that. So the next steps, we're going to announce the application next week. The deadline will be April 30th. We will review and score these applications and make recommendations to senior leadership. And then with the budget approval for the state, we will determine the allocations and announce the award selections in early July. And then that will start the process on our end to prepare contracts and process the financial part on our end. I don't have anything else. I did leave the questions that we had last year on this presentation. I'm going to leave these in the slide presentation that Paula will send out to you guys just for your reference. And then they will also be on our website and for future reference. So I will leave these up. So are there any other questions? Did I miss anything, Macy?
No, there are no questions.
Okay. Well, then I take it everyone then is an expert, but again, you're free to call me or send an email if you think of questions later. And I will probably be talking to a lot of you tomorrow at the Rise to Community Immunity webinar. And have a good day. Thank you.